Find and simplify the difference quotient, f of x plus h minus f of x over h, where h is not equal to 0. And the function we want to find the difference quotient for is f of x equals 8 over x. So we're going to find this difference quotient, which is f of x plus h minus f of x over h. So we're going to take this in stages. Let's start by finding f of x plus h. And the way that you find f of x plus h is by taking x plus h and you substitute it in for x. So that's going to be 8 over x plus h. So I'm going to highlight that part there. So then we're going to subtract f of x, and f of x was given to us. So we don't need to calculate it, we're just going to use it. We're going to subtract 8 over x. And that's this part right here of the difference quotient. And then we're going to divide by h. So we have found the difference quotient, but we want to simplify it. And the reason we want to simplify it is because here it says that h cannot be equal to 0. Eventually, we want to rewrite this so that we don't have that 0 in the denominator. So we have a couple different strategies that we can use to simplify this. One of them is clearing fractions. We get rid of the fractions in the problem. And another one is to find a common denominator. I typically use clearing fractions, so I thought this time I'd take a different approach and try to get a common denominator. So I have 8 over x plus h minus 8 over x over h. And I'm going to get a common denominator for these fractions in the numerator. And that common denominator would be x times x plus h. So I just took this denominator and multiplied it by this denominator to get the common denominator. So I want to be able to add those fractions together, so I need for both fractions to have that same denominator. So on this one, I'm going to multiply by x plus h over x plus h, and on this one over here, I'll multiply by x over x. So that means that we're going to get 8x over x times x plus h minus 8 times x plus h over x times x plus h, all over h. Now that I have a common denominator, I can combine those two fractions together. And that would be 8x minus 8 times x plus h over x times x plus h, all over h. Let's distribute this negative 8 to break up that parenthesis, and we have 8x minus 8x minus 8h over x times x plus h over h. And then we have the 8x and the negative 8x canceling each other out. So we have negative 8h over x times x plus h, all over h. And it still looks a little bit messy because we have a fraction inside of a fraction. We call this a complex fraction. So what I want to do is I want to change this fraction bar, and the operation for a fraction bar is division. So instead of writing it in this form with the fraction bar, I'm going to write it with that division bar. And when we do that, that would be negative 8h over x times x plus h divided by h. And when we divide fractions, we change it to multiplication by the reciprocal. So we would write negative 8h over x times x plus h times the reciprocal. The reciprocal of h is 1 over h. And finally, we are now able to cancel this h out of the denominator and write this as negative 8 over x times x plus h. So we have figured out the difference quotient for x plus h. So f of x plus h minus f of x over h is negative 8 over x times x plus h.
Thank you for checking out my videos. Have a great day.